Have you ever done a protocol and wondered if it was making any difference? Or even more specifically, maybe have you ever done a Candida protocol and wondered if it worked or if you needed to do it again? If you said yes to either of these questions, then you're just like my client, Elizabeth. In today's episode, I'm sharing a question from one of our group coaching calls inside my private group coaching, the Better Belly Blueprint, to share with you. Today's topic is on Candida from my client Elizabeth. She asks, how do I know when my Candida is gone? As a reminder, I'm redoing my Candida protocol on week 4. Update, I used to get diarrhea with the first round, but now I'm not. And I continue to get bloating after I eat on a 7 out of 10 intensity any meal. Similarly, should I retest for Candida after I finish this 2-month protocol? I just want to know exactly what is causing my bloating and why it isn't gone yet. What she really wants to know is, why is her bloating still there? And how can she know if the Candida is gone if she still has that particular symptom? And maybe more importantly, what else could be causing her bloating, if not the Candida? It can totally be rough going through a protocol and seeing improvement in some of your symptoms, but not in others, especially the one or ones that you care most about. So if you've ever had anxiety around this question before, around the efficacy of your protocols, you don't want to miss my answer to Elizabeth. And P.S., if you want to ask questions to me just like Elizabeth did with this one and get my live feedback, now you can. When you join the Better Belly Blueprint and add on the 3 months of group coaching at our super affordable price, you get access to live biweekly group coaching calls just like this one and unlimited daily one-to-one coaching inside our private Facebook group. Enrollment is open now. There's no need to wait. Go to betterbellytherapies.com/blueprint to read more about the Better Belly Blueprint today. Or if you prefer to learn via audio and video, go to betterbellytherapies.com/training and watch the free training I put together on why and how the Better Belly Blueprint helps you overcome your toughest symptoms, even when nothing prior to this has worked. Are you ready to hear Elizabeth's answer? Let's dive in. Hey friend, welcome to the Better Belly Podcast. If you're currently trying endless supplements, doctor visits, and diet changes to heal your mystery symptoms, you are in the right place. We're here to solve the real root causes behind your gut, hormone, skin, sleep, and brain concerns, literally anything and everything in your body. My name is Allison Jordan. I'm a functional medicine practitioner that has supported over 150 clients just like you to heal problems that no one has been able to fix. You don't need a perfect diet or a random supplement you found on Instagram to heal. You need a proven system that heals your whole body from the inside out. That's what I'm here to share with you, episode by episode. It's time to make health easy again. And just as a reminder, this information is not meant to diagnose, manage, or treat disease. Always consult with your own health practitioner before you make any changes to your health. Hey guys, Allison popping in real quick here to let you know that we have a ton of podcast episodes on bloating and Candida. So if you are also like Elizabeth struggling with bloating or Candida as one of your main symptoms or issues, we have a bunch of related episodes tagged in the show notes for today's podcast episode. I highly recommend checking out episode 234, which is our big symptoms of Candida overgrowth and why other people's Candida protocols might not have worked for you, as well as a bunch of other episodes on root causes of bloating other than Candida. So I hope those are super helpful for you. But now let's get into Elizabeth's question. All right, so last question's by Elizabeth. Hers is about Candida. How did she know when her Candida is gone? Because she is redoing the Candida protocol. And then should she retest for Candida after she finishes the 2-month protocol? It's kind of the top and the bottom of it. She basically reaffirms that bloating, which has been her main symptom, has been she gets bloating every time she eats after a meal. We've been working on things like increasing her low stomach acid, and specifically upping her betaine and HCl intake, really tackling the copper toxicity protocol and mold. Because Candida, like SIBO, Candida and SIBO, they're the only 2 pathogens that are essentially caused by something else. Parasites, it is an exposure. H. pylori, it's an exposure issue. Mold, it's an exposure issue. Lyme, it's an exposure issue. Candida and SIBO, we self-create. We all have Candida in us. Everybody on this call, me, Madeline, whether you had high Candida on your oat or GMAP or not, we all have Candida because it is a commensal yeast. The issue is when it's a Candida overgrowth. That is the specific description of the disease state is Candida overgrowth. So it's when it proliferates too much. Basically, the gardener of your gut isn't weeding it down. So yes, Candida can cause bloating, but what is causing the Candida overgrowth? Um, I with this for Elizabeth, this is how I would think of this. And when I've been working with clients who are having a longer healing process in whatever way. I've had lots of clients who they're doing everything right and it takes them a couple months to see results. I think my biggest one I can think of is my client Helene. She literally came onto the podcast. She was working with me for 5 months before we saw a big change. And then we saw a big change and it was like an avalanche. And it was like suddenly she went from not pooping at all to pooping almost like it happened overnight. And it was just the accumulation of the effect of everything we were doing. We didn't change anything in month 5. We just we're doing everything long enough. Um, to me, I'd say we know your candida's gone when your symptoms are improving. And it's not just the candida, remember, it's the other factors as well. When are those factors going to improve or enough for that bloating symptom to go away? We don't know. There is a certain amount where we don't know. I don't know the future. I can tell you that generally a Candida protocol that lasts 2 months is going to bring the Candida colonies down. And as long as you do the follow-up protocols like low stomach acid, copper, anything relevant to your specific lab testing, that's for other people listening, right? That the Candida eventually will stay away because the gardener of your gut comes back online. We clearly have not got it to come back online, Elizabeth. And that's not because you haven't been doing good things. I think we're dialing in. We're dialing in. So the Candida protocol is helping keep that like the colonies of the Candida down. Clearly not like completely because you're still getting symptoms. Nothing to be discouraged about, right? But that's the point of the protocol. But we're also trying to give you enough time on low stomach acid protocol, enough time on copper. You were just telling us recently about the copper detoxing symptoms you were having. So I'd be wondering, as other details, not just focusing on the bloating, what are your copper detox symptoms like? Does your period feel better the next month that you have it? Because that was something that was really hard for you recently. Those would be signs that the copper protocol, you're getting further along in it. Maybe you can take some more molybdenum in it safely and really encourage that copper protocol to move along. You're going to redo that HTMA, which you mentioned in your post here. So, getting to the retesting Candida, I typically don't retest Candida. Like definitely not with the GI map. If we redid an oat, the value of redoing an oat is seeing your overall levels of like mold as well as the candida. And if you just did a moat test, it's microbial oat. Um, or if you did the full organic acid test, we can compare all your numbers from before to now and see what are your oxalate levels, what are your mitochondrial markers like, what are your neurotransmitter markers like, and it's really not about just the candida, it's about the overall picture of your health. That's why we're doing another HTMA, is what's the overall picture looking like? We're trying to update it, not just with symptoms, especially since the symptoms aren't like wildly changing. That doesn't discourage me, but we just do need new data to kind of like if we're driving a ship or whatever, we don't have landmarks like usually in open ocean, right? You're not like, there's the Costco I pass every day. I know I'm on my way, right? You're having to really use the stars and know exactly where you're at to get to where you want to go. And that's probably I've never used that metaphor, but I'm it makes a lot of sense to me, guys. That yeah, there's like try learning how to navigate in open water is way different and way weirder because you could feel like you're literally in the same spot you were yesterday because all you see is water. So you guys are all learning. Everybody here, whether you're on the call or watching a replay or never watched this at all, and I'm just speaking out into as a truth, you're all here and you're learning how to evaluate where you're at with um more nuanced markers of either improvement or progress.
even when they're not always the markers of like, and I'm fixed, thanks for the program, bye, right? Because that's gonna happen. That happens all the time, and those people come on the podcast. They're the people who aren't posting. We have like 90 people in the group ish, right? Like they don't post because they're like, thanks for the program, it works, bye. There are a lot of those that are hanging out in there who have the lifetime coaching. So one of those women, she's actually did come and share her testimonial because every now and again she pops into the group and says like, I'm still feeling great. Thanks for how much the program's worked. I have this one tiny question. So, um, I hope that's encouraging to people to speak a little bit more into like what it looks like as you're healing, even when you still feel like my primary symptoms are still so much in the forefront of my mind. Think about other symptoms. Like even if they got worse for a while, she had signs that her copper toxicity protocol was massively working, right? Do those symptoms improve again? And then that would be the measure of like, are you getting closer? So that is my answer for you, Elizabeth. I know it's not the answer you probably want to hear. You want to hear a timeline. You want to hear, I mean, I'd want to hear that, but like when, but when. You want to hear the timeline. You want to hear something black and white. I would generally say we could wait a couple more months. Once you reevaluate the HTMA. I would say the other thing that I haven't said as a really practical step you could take, Elizabeth, is I'm really encouraging people to start to get the high-tech air filters. Um, they I've we've been having one in our apartment. My daughter gets no nosebleeds here. She has no random vomiting thing she was getting when we were still living in another moldy situation prior to being here. And I have no tinnitus here. And of course, part of it could be the unit itself, but we've actually taken our air filter to my parents' house, which is a mold issue for them. Um, I didn't realize that when we first went to move in there this summer for a couple months. We've taken our air filter to their house, and my daughter's symptoms massively have reduced when she comes back home. She used to get these torrential nosebleeds every time she visited their house and stayed the night. And recently she stayed the night. She was there for 2 full days with us spending the night in the middle. And she had a nosebleed later that week, but it literally was just around the rim of her nose. It wasn't torrential. And no throwing up randomly. So that was just huge win, right? So we do have a sales representative. Her job is not just to push you into buying. Her job is to educate and help you guys feel that this is the right decision to make, or even to know like how many units should you buy for your home for their square footage, or what size of unit should you get, and just answer your questions. She's honestly here to just be a resource. She's also been sick with mold. She's going to be on the podcast in an episode that we'll release in January. Lynn Furtado. So Madeline, if you could just add into an action step to potentially talk with Lynn Furtado. Um, she's in our Facebook group now. She's like very excited to be here. She and I message each other, and she's just been really jazzed to get to partner and serve you guys. So that could be really big in terms of reducing the mold load, which would be another factor, the mold, the copper, stomach acid. And that might be the big difference. That could be the tipping point. That would be amazing, right? Who doesn't want their tipping